Sports. So hello, and welcome to episode 12 of the Simulation Super Bowl Challenge with me, Chris, and Nick. Today, we're actually going to start off with a game of rock, paper, scissors. This is to determine who will get to pick their team first in the event that we obviously get the same team offering for our job. So, without further ado, you're going to see my screen here as we play rock, paper, scissors. Away we go. So Nick takes an early lead on paper. Oh, Nick takes a nice little 2-0 lead. This is where real men come back. Oh! Okay, Nick wins 3-0, and therefore he will get the first choice of job. So here we are with our job offers. Teams are bidding. This is for Nick, Mr. Manager, and you can see he has a selection of 8 teams here. All of those that were mentioned in the last episode, apart from obviously his Cardinals, and the Seahawks were added as well as a team for him to go to. That is because Pete Carroll has retired, and so the Seahawks could be a good option here for Nick, although they are struggling in cap room. For me, however, the offer is only the Lions. So I either will have to wait or accept the Lions job.
So here we are with Mr. Manager, and we will be going, despite them offering us less money and having less cap than the Vikings, who don't have a first or second round pick courtesy of Chris over there. Mr. Manager will be accepting the Steelers head coaching job. And that is that.
And for me, well, this is our only offer, for France is full of French people, and whilst I could potentially gain more offers down the line, I think the Lions job fits what we want to do pretty well already. So that is what we will be happy to accept. And we are now the Lions head coach. One of the craziest things that me or Nick has ever seen happen on Madden has happened. Charles Wilson, who was, I think, a 60 overall. Nick watched the game against the Bears week 1, very early on at the very least, and Charles Wilson was a 60 overall star dev player. He is now your MVP and a superstar 71 overall. He had the most yards and most touchdowns this year for any QB. Charles Wilson. I've never seen anything like it. We'll go through the rest of the awards looking for if there are any of our players, or not our players now, but our players from the past on there. By the way, the Super Bowl is the Cowboys and Chargers again make it to the Super Bowl. I highly doubt me or Nick will be here on Coach of the Year, because of course we got fired. Let's look at the AFC. Holmes there, doing pretty well. Myles Garrett. The Browns doing pretty well here. Miles Irons, good name. See here, I haven't seen too many Raiders yet near the top, which is to be expected. So it looks like the Raiders didn't do too much at all this year, and that is pretty true. Are there any Cardinals there? Well, there you go. Charles Wilson, Offensive Player of the Year. And Khalil Mack, Defensive, so the Bears. As you see, Buda Baker here for Nick. But I think that might be it for you as well, Nick, to be honest. As we go through the list, Cowboys get some representation. A lot of representation as they are going to the Super Bowl. Chandler Jones there for Nick. Oh, Buda Baker won it, Nick. You'll be happy to know. And so those are the awards for this year. Crazy that MVP Charles Wilson, a name to watch out for, and I will be playing him, of course, twice a year with the Lions. So we'll get to watch that match closely, I'm sure, to see how we do against the MVP of this year. So we're now going to talk you through our 2 teams as they stand right now. This is before the off-season has begun, so this is the 2 teams we are inheriting I'll go through it by position. We still have Matthew Stafford as our QB. You see that we could potentially release or trade him if we really wanted to, and we are pretty limited in cap at the moment. So this could be a potential thing that we look into if there is a good QB out there. You see Evan Camp here, who's a pretty solid backup as well. 69 overall. He is only normal though, and we obviously do want a good QB, but just 23, you know, we got a decent secondary option as well. Running back, we got Kerryon Johnson, who we are paying quite a bit for a running back there, you see, but he's, you know, a fairly good running back for us to have. Isn't the best receiving back, but at least he's decent. At receiver, this is what really drew me to the Lions. We've got Kenny Golladay, who's a superstar, 2890 overall. Marvin Jones as well, who's getting up there now, and he's still got quite a big release penalty, which isn't great, but this is the guy that I'm really excited for. Tracy Spain here is a 22-year-old, 78. You can see his morale is affecting that, but he's 78, superstar X Factor receiver, so he's probably gonna be the core of our team, and really the main reason why I wanted to come here. Because obviously we are going to be throwing the ball a lot, and I'm expecting big things from him. At tight end, we've got a great tight end as well, and TJ Hawkinson, who is a superstar and only 25 years old, so that hopefully will turn into something good, and a good backup here as well, and Ricky Seals-Jones. The O-line could use with some work. Kelvin Beachum is not a good left tackle to be starting, but we do have Brian Donaldson, who is also a superstar X Factor. So, and he's going to be a good player to build around as well. Again, low morale from obviously last year. They were pretty bad, so that is affecting some of the overalls. Ragnow here, another good O-lineman. So, you know, we've got some solid starters. Glasgow, not the best, and also a bit old. Same with Rick Wagner, definitely getting up there in age. On the defensive side, we've got Deshaun Hand, who's, you know, an average starter. Trey Flowers, who's a pretty good player. For us there. Snacks is still in the league and still playing at 33, and he's okay. We also have Ashawn Robertson, who's a decent second defensive tackle. On the left outside linebacker, Taco Charlton, of course, he doesn't really fit our scheme, certainly not as a linebacker. He will probably become a end. Jelani Taivai is an actually pretty good middle linebacker here. He'll certainly be staying around. And Tim Williams is our other linebacker. On the defensive side, Darius Slay was not traded by the Lions for nothing. So we still have him. He's a decent but old corner, so could be one that we maybe look to move if we go more down a rebuild route, but we'll see. And Justin Coleman, similar kind of thing, getting up there in age a bit, and also could be traded potentially. Free safety, we've got Tracy Walker and Adrian Phillips, two pretty decent safeties, and Tavon Wilson, so safety could also be a need. Kicker, Matt Prater is still going at 38 years old, and he's 76. And at punter, we've actually got two punters, so a bit of a punting battle here between two 68 overall players. Picks wise, we actually have number uno. That's right, the Raiders didn't end up with the first overall pick, the Lions did. So we're going to be hopefully turning this pick, or picks that we potentially get from it, into a haul of players that will turn into a great team.
And now here we are looking at the Steelers roster for the 2022 season, who have the 6th overall pick in this draft and didn't trade any away. Currently, I have no idea who's going to start at quarterback. It probably won't be any of these players that we already have. James Conner is going to be probably our running back for next year. We can't really get rid of him, so he will be sticking around for now. The receivers are very good, which is what drew me to the team, and we'll hope to build upon that, and they will only get better as they're quite young as well. Tight end, I'm not too concerned about, it's fine. Left tackle, Villanueva he's decent at this point in his career, but he's a bit old, so we will need to replace him at some point. Left guard's a spot I'm not sure I've got anyone who will play this year for us at. Pouncey, we'll see how regression goes for him. The same with DeCastro. I'm imagining he's going to stick around for a bit because he is just such a good high rating. I'm doubting that it's going to get impacted too much by regression. Right tackle is a position of need. Stefan Tuitt will probably stick around. I'm not sure. We might move him. Cam Hayward I won't be able to move due to that penalty, so he will be sticking around, but at least he's a good player to start at right end for us. Hargrave, I'm not sure. I might have to upgrade at defensive tackle. TJ Watt will obviously be one of the building blocks for our team, and we will move forward with him. Devin Bush also, who is an 86 overall. We will need another linebacker to pair with him, and Demario Davis was brought in. I'm not sure what we'll do there. We'll see again how regression impacts his ratings. Cornerback, I'm not sure we've got anyone here who is of the right age or the right overall to be kept around for much longer. Fitzpatrick obviously will be playing slot corner, so we will probably need another safety to come in as well. Although we have got Terrell Edmonds here, who is decent, and Wilfred Barber, who was drafted by the Steelers, who is a star and could play that other safety spot when Fitzpatrick is in the slot. And yeah, the specialists are fine. So that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. As you can see in the top left corner though, the Chargers do not repeat with a second Super Bowl in a row as they fall to the Dallas Cowboys. And the Steelers here, the players that they're saying that I could re-sign, there's no one really here that I'm interested in picking up, to be honest, so we'll let them all go.
The first move I am making as Lions coach/GM is to trade away Matt Stafford. This was done for a very crucial reason. We had almost no cap room, and Stafford is on the decline, hasn't had too many good years, so we're trading him for a first, not this year, but the year after, with the Ravens. And you might think, why the Ravens? Well, the Ravens need a QB, let's put it that way. Well, they don't anymore, but they did need a QB because for some unknown reason, the top free agent this year is Lamar Jackson. Now, I still am not sure we've got the cap to go after Lamar. Potentially now we could go for Lamar if we really wanted to. I'm not sure if Nick is going to bring Lamar to the Steelers. That could be interesting. But yeah, the Ravens, despite having a really good roster, for some reason let Lamar walk. So he's potentially going to go somewhere, and I hope Nick does outbid the Vikings, because that wouldn't be great to have the MVP and Lamar in the same division. So for the first wave in free agency, the Lions wanted to attack their defense and get a bunch of starters, and you can see here that with Jackson, Worley, Walker, Kazir White and Monte Nicholson, they have done that. They signed the running back Samuels as well to be a backup, and there's only 2 negotiations left, Ricky Seals-Jones and Eric Wilson.
And for the Steelers here, we will start with free agency. We haven't really done much yet, but we're bringing in 2 starting offensive linemen for the time being, in Ron Leary and Mike Pouncey, who won't stick around for too much longer, but they're 1-year gap fillers. And the punter Friedman, who he's a superstar, so that's pretty much the only reason I brought him in. And Cam Newton here to potentially start for our team. The accuracies and the ratings aren't as good as they used to be. Star dev as well, which isn't ideal, but we'll see how he works out if we get him.
So with the players signed that we want, we will now head into the draft, and of course it is me, the Lions, on the clock. Don't really want to be picking at 1, you'll see why in a bit when I show you my draft board, and I'm quite happy to take this trade from the San Francisco 49ers, as they will give us an extra first next year and a second this year to only move down 3 spots. So now with the 4th pick, the Lions are on the clock, and here is my draft board as we go into it. We don't have any good trades, by the way, but before we get into it, our needs, I would say, are a second quarterback, another wide receiver, both tackles are a priority, and some backup defensive tackles as well. So top of the board here you see John Wolford. He's a receiver, very good combine, he's an early first round talent as well as an early first round selection, so he could be a possibility. but we definitely want tackles, and Clint Bain could be one of them. He's a late first round projection but early first round talent, but he's more of a run blocker. You can't see any of his pass blocking ideas, and that's obviously pretty crucial for us as we will be throwing the ball a lot. So Clint Bain might not be the fit we need. Going down, Eugene June though is a pass protector, unlike Arrieta here. You see these two guards, although we need a tackle, not necessarily a guard, but Eugene June or Arrieta could be a potential pick. You see June is an early first rounder with early first round talent, and we can see some of his pass block. And being a pass protector as well means that his other pass blocking is probably pretty decent. So even though his first two are A-, that means his other pass blocking skills are pretty good. John Wolford could be the pick here at number 4 though. I'm kind of at this point a toss-up between Wolford and June. Receiver isn't the biggest need. And I think the problem with going receiver number 1 is that there are other receivers like Heenan Beecham here, who is a mid-second round talent but has mid-first round true talent. Sorry, he's projected mid-second. You see he's got a release which you don't see too often, so he could be a good pick there to get a bit later on in the draft, maybe with our second round pick. Going further down, another player I really like is Sergio Goodwin. He's a second round projection as well with good first round talent. And Angel Cordova here was, I'm pretty sure, a second round, but now has been projected into the first. So he might not be good value, but once upon a time he was. And as you can see here, we do want to be filling some of these spots. So you see there's quite a few D tackles on there, and backup QB Evan Ward. The QB class is ridiculously bad, to put it lightly. It's not a good QB class at all, and he honestly is probably the best option if we want a backup QB. There are some good middle linebackers here. Clay Hastings is a pass coverage, but Reed Godwin as well is an early second rounder, projected late 6th, so maybe we can pick him up to fill a potential need. We did pick up a lot of linebackers in the free agency class, and you see here some later D tackles as well, who will probably be targeting as we need to fill those spots. So that is my draft board as a whole. Obviously we don't know everything about the draft, so with that done, let us make a selection. And you know what, I don't think we can go receiver. I think it does have to be Eugene June. I think he has to be the pick here. He is a pass protector. We do need tackles rather than guards, but maybe we can put him or another guard out to tackle instead. I think we can go later on and pick up a receiver and fill some of our other needs a bit later on in this draft, but there wasn't too many good tackles and there isn't too many good O-linemen, certainly projected high. So I think Eugene June, 21 years old, from Boston College. You see he's not really tall enough to play tackle perhaps, but he's got very good skills. His combine was okay, not the strongest, and not the quickest either. But he seems more like a sort of solid player as a whole, and he will be the pick. And it is 76 hidden dev, so that's good. And you see he's very balanced. Pass protector 76, power and agile both 75, so very balanced. It was a slight reach, but you know, at this point in the draft that's fine. And you see again very balanced across the board. Pretty low strength, but pretty solid in every single category coming out. With hidden dev, that should hopefully translate into a good player going forward. I'm a bit worried about that strength though. Can he hold up against some of the stronger players?
The Steelers, and we will await the Colts pick before we see who's on our draft board and who we will be taking. I'm not sure yet. I really haven't decided. I, at the start of this, had decided that I just needed O-lineman. I have that for a year, as they take Lamar Wilkerson, who was a really good corner that I was interested in. First, I'll review these offers here for my pick. The Rams giving that, but not their first round pick, which is ridiculous. Yeah, I wouldn't trade down here, I guess, not with that. So let's see what I've got. But yeah, I wanted to get a defensive tackle and maybe some cornerbacks as well. So a corner just went. But do you turn down the talent here with Joey Hart, who is an early first. He's got the A- power moves, A- tackle. Not great strength, but he would be our starting outside linebacker, paired with TJ Watt and with Devin Bush in the middle. That is very interesting to me. Let's see what else there is. There's John Wolford, who is an early first rounder. He is interesting as well, but I'm not sure I will pick a receiver at all in this draft. And there's Tyler Arrieta, who isn't the strongest, which is probably an issue there, which would make me not pick him. The speed here on AC Russell is good. It's better than Patterson, who I thought would be the pick, simply because he's got the early first talent, but he hasn't got the speed that I'd want. Well, it would probably still be in the 80s or something, I don't know. So I'm struggling here. Well, Clint Bain is here. And when you think about it, I don't have a tackle. I have one tackle on my team, and he is like 30 billion years old. So I will need to take a tackle and address O-line early. I think that's the way I might go. So in the end, Clint Bain will be the pick, and let's see how good this guy is. He's number 2 in true talent, but he's got the normal dev, which is not what I wanted to see, but it's fine either way. He starts out 78 overall, very well rounded there. His injury is 89, which is fine. Strength is 89, which is great. Run block's 87 out of the block. That's very good. So I'm happy with that pick. At number 6, we get the number 2 talent. I don't think we could have done much better.
So here we are in the second round with the Lions pick, and we still have the boy that we want the most. And we also have another person that we would want pretty highly. We do have the 49ers second round pick as well, but the pick is going to be Keenum Beachum to be our wide receiver 4, and unfortunately he is normal dev. Decent ratings across the board here, nothing really standing out. He's a bit slow. His catching isn't the best. He runs okay routes. Spec catch is pretty good. So he's I think a solid second round pick. He's a solid wide receiver 4 that can become a wide receiver 3 with a bit of development. So I'm okay with where he is at right now. And with the 4th pick in the second round, the Detroit Lions will be taking Sergio Godwin, free safety out of Alabama. And he is 70 overall, normal dev. I was kind of hoping that one of those two would be hidden, but 59 tackling is certainly bringing him down, so he will probably be a career backup, not a great pick here.
And in the second round, I don't see any value here considering I don't have much scouted. I've got my tackle. I'm pretty much done till the 3rd, I guess.
With this next pick, the Lions will take Chris Barker, who fills one of our draft needs here. Early 3rd round is likely to be somewhere in the mid 60s, you would think. So hopefully he's not too bad. Chris Barker is the pick. Okay, 67. That's actually a little better than I thought it would be, which helps out. He's a fine player. We definitely need some extra depth and defensive line, and he's a player who will definitely make the team and maybe contribute in a limited way.
And here the Steelers will take 6th round projected, but I don't care. It's basically a late first. I mean, this is the 6th pick of the 3rd round, so I'm willing to take him. Let's see this hidden dev. It's not there, but 35 in talent, and I mean, block shedding needs some work, but other than that, it's a decent pick.
So we need 2 defensive tackles, so why not take another defensive tackle? But Godwin here in the 4th, early 3rd round, exactly the same overall, but a better value, I suppose. So that fills those needs, and apart from one tackle, which is looking less and less likely at this point, we should have pretty much every need filled. Oh, and a backup quarterback as well, but we can find one of them anytime.
Looking at the rest of the board here for the Steelers, it's just a whole bunch of undrafted players with good combines, and Sean Foley and Ellis Rudd here. Foley's the best. He's a late 2nd talent, I think. Easy pick here, considering how little I know. 60 in true talent. So we did pick up an extra 4th round pick by trading down, and I have 2 scouted players on the board here. I mean, the combine here for Peterson is too good to not get massively overdrafted, so here comes my first massive bust of this draft. Actually, that's not terrible. I expected more like 47. Who was that centre? No one knows because he's gone. He might be dead now. Who knows? Peterson, yeah. Whatever.
So with this next pick, again, like Nick, we don't have much on our board, so it's going to be Floyd Simpson, an undrafted safety who is a mid-3rd round talent, so pretty good. And he's a 67. This is the 67 overall draft class for me. But again, a pretty good pick this late on. Yeah, good pick for the Lions.
So we've still got 4 picks left, and I have no idea what we're going to do with them, so I'm just going to start taking players whose combines I liked. And yeah, that's always going to happen. I should have thought about his strength. Maybe he can play somewhere else.
We're into the 6th round now, and we still need a backup QB. Griggs here is not going to be good. But how bad can he be, right? Okay, pretty bad. Turns out Griggs isn't good. There is... whoa, his shot actually really not good. So he might be, you know, a career practice squad and cut player.
If you liked that quarterback pick, wait till you see this one. 4'6", 140. At least he's quick. I know that about him. Chris knew nothing about his. But Nickerson is 52 overall, which is like, that is substantially worse. His awareness is better than Chris's. So, is that something? I don't know. Now I'm looking at how athletic some of these players are, and I'm thinking one of them has to be good, right? Surely. Maybe. I was thinking Sherman. So let's see how good he is, or bad probably. As he, yeah, it's not working out. His finesse moves are 60. He's just not gonna ever play.
So with our last pick, we are going to take Quincy Washington, a tackle from Utah State, 7th round selection. Woo! Not the best. Basically, I was just going to take a punt on any tackle who fit the scheme, but it was not a good pick.
We've been throwing darts since the 3rd round pretty much, so let's see how bad this player will be. Jeffrey Wiggins. Here's his combine. Welcome to the team, and it's just more of the same, I guess. The awareness really kills them, but other than that, they're still really bad. So, what's it matter?
So we'll now just do a quick draft recap for you for both our teams. Let's start with me. With the 4th pick, we traded down from 1, of course. We got the San Francisco 49ers 1st round pick next year now as well. We picked Eugene June, hidden dev, pass protector. A bit worried about his strength, but otherwise is a pretty solid player, I think. So I was quite happy with that pick to start off. Then we got Keenan Beachum, and these two I was a bit disappointed in. Because they both were normal dev. Beachum a 74 overall receiver, and Goodwin a 70 overall free safety. 2 good picks, I think, especially for where they were drafted, but if they had hidden dev, they would be much better, because they do need to develop a little to become full-time starters. Then we moved into the D-tackle portion of the draft with Barker and Godwin, and really we entered the 67 overall portion of our draft. 3 solid picks, 3 backup players, but pretty happy with what we did here in the mid rounds. Then in the late rounds, of course, we didn't really know anything about the draft, which is obviously our penalty for getting fired. So these two not great picks at all, but at this point we were just throwing darts at a wall.
So with the Steelers, it's only really the top 2 picks that are of real note here. Clint Bain, would have liked for him to be a hidden talent, but he's not. But I'm not sure his dev needs to be high considering how good he already is. So the floor is really high with him. Reed Godwin is, I mean, he's kind of the same. His block shedding's his only real weakness. Where, I mean, you could get a hidden dev player who just never really does anything because they're not very good. Sean Foley is just an average player there in the 4th. We did trade out of our 2nd, so we have an extra 2nd round pick next year, I believe. The rest of it, it's not good. But as Chris said, that's our penalty. We get bad depth at the end of the draft.
So that's going to end this episode where you saw our new teams and going through free agency and the draft. Obviously a bit of a difficult draft for us because we couldn't obviously get the full scouted boards. It'll be an exciting next season, I think. I don't think either of us is really ready to fully compete yet, especially as we try and figure out our QB rooms. But it should be very interesting, I think, going to these new teams. And when you go to the 2nd team, there is always the threat that that could be your last team and that you could find yourself losing the challenge from being bad rather than one of us winning the Super Bowl. And I think that's more likely at this point than either of us winning the Super Bowl. With that said, I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time.